ain't gon' sing. Hey, there's levels to this thing. I'ma work till I get to see my king. Feeling like King James, like about to win a ring. Man.
We got the same matches, we at different levels. I'ma have to find a way to push the pedal. But my Christian race to get the gold medal.
Hello everybody, and welcome to the First Love TV show. My name is Andrea, and I'm here with Jeremy.
Hey guys.
Francisca.
What's up?
And Ricardo.
Hi everyone.
For the past couple of weeks, we've been looking at the parable of the prodigal son, and we've been looking at the opportunities in which he wasted, and also the things which motivated him to leave his home. And last week we spoke about the spirit of ingratitude, and this week we're going to be exploring the theme some more to figure out what exactly caused him to leave his home. And so, Francisca, do you have any thoughts on what other things could have caused him to leave his home?
Yeah, in life, I feel like sometimes we tend to run after elusive things or what we think it's achievable in a sense. And there's this proverb called a wild goose chase. I don't know if you guys have heard it, but yeah, it's called a wild goose chase. And that's exactly what the prodigal son tried to do. He tried to chase after something he could not ever achieve. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen a video of a wild goose, someone trying to chase them. It's very hard to capture one because they're always like, and
so quick.
Yeah, they're so quick you can't get them. And that's, if you can compare to the prodigal son, he was chasing after women, he was chasing after a lifestyle he thought was for him. So in a sense, we can say that he was chasing after, he was after a wild goose. Yeah, in a sense, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, if you look at our world today, if you look at our country and things like that, you find that people are always looking for that next thing. They're always looking to further their career. They're always looking for money. They're always looking to get their hands on something. And either two things happen. Either they never get what they're looking for, or when they get it, it's not what they thought it was. So,
not satisfying.
Yeah, it's not satisfying. And you find that they always have that void in their heart. And one story that I heard, it was about this NFL quarterback, and he was like trying his whole career to win a Super Bowl, and he was playing as hard as he could, and that's what he gave his life for. Like his whole life, his eating, he had to put his family to the side, his time, his blood, his sweat. Everything was going through toward winning that elusive title. Like he wanted it so bad, and so he finally won it. And then he was on the bus one night, and like going back like after winning it, and then his teammates were celebrating, and they asked him like how he felt like a couple months after that, talking about reflecting on that night. And then he was saying that honestly, he thought it would be more like gratifying. He thought it'd be more fulfilling to win something, to win that Super Bowl. He thought like that was what he gave his life for. He thought like once he had that, he'd be good. But he realized that the next day, people were asking, okay, so who's gonna win next year?
Yeah. Oh, forget
it.
Yeah, it's
like,
amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing you say that because like it reminds me of the scripture that says, you know, what good is it to, you know, to gain the whole world, but then you forfeit your soul or you give your soul. Like, you know, like, and when you look at celebrities, a lot of them, you know, they have it all, you know, like they have everything that so many people wish they had. They have the money, they have the fame, they have the titles, but yet they're still not satisfied. There's still a void that they're missing. And you'll hear people say like things like, oh, you know, like, I'm missing something, you know, there's something I'm missing, I'm empty, but then they don't realize that piece that they're missing might just be Christ, you know, like it may just be Jesus that they're missing, and it's that void that they still feel, that emptiness that they can't seem to like fill.
Even speaking on emptiness, I remember before I even became a born-again Christian, I would always feel a sense like you could be with a whole lot of people, you could be around so many people, but there's always this sense of emptiness. And I realized that when I came to Christ, like that void or that vacuum was filled. And I think that it's important that you mentioned like emptiness. When you chase after things, when you chase after success or fame or all of these things, all of those things lead you to a place where you feel empty, you feel even rejected, even everybody around you is gone, but somebody who's always there is Christ.
I'm thinking like one thing that strikes my attention is how people look for satisfaction and look for something to fill in other people. Like they look for security in relationships. They look for security in another person. And I find like a lot of people saying like, oh yeah, once I have like once I'm married or once I get my beloved, like everything's gonna be great for me. Everything's
whole.
I'm gonna be all right, like because I know that like the thing that I'm missing is that guy, or the
Yeah.
thing I'm missing is that girl. Like I know that once I get this, like once my relationship with that person is like intact and I have everything I want, and we're married, and we have kids, then like everything's gonna be perfect.
Yeah.
That's the picture perfect.
Like, the
Yeah.
ideal,
Call it,
And a
yeah.
lot of young people feel like that, like they put all their hope, all their trust, all their love in that one person. And like I said earlier in the show, like either two things happen, like they either don't get that, like something ends up happening, or they get it, but you can't. It's not what it is, and you find that even like in marriages and stuff like that, you find that a lot of people they thought like it would be something else. They thought that it would be something that would satisfy them for the rest of their lives, but. That's why the Bible calls marriage a mystery, because it's like even though you're supposed to be one with that person, you still can't find satisfaction in that one person.
Right.
I mean, I'm not married, but I'm just really
Speaking on it.
speaking on it. So yeah, I mean, it's true.
Yeah,
it
and
is
when
true.
even when you said that people are always looking like for security and stuff, I remember when I started college, or even when you watch TV shows, they say that, oh, for a woman, they say, are you going for a Mrs. degree? Have you guys ever know what a Mrs. degree is?
No, I haven't.
Well,
Tell
a
us.
Educate us.
a Mrs. degree is that you're going to college, and in going to college, you're making sure you find a husband before you finish your college program. So people are on a search, like, okay, I have to join this club, I have to join this group, I have to join that group, because at the end of 4 years, I have to find my husband, and once I find my husband, then life is going to be great, because now I'm going to have kids, and then after that, so they start planning their whole mind towards it. And so that's a lot of, like what Jeremy said, you know, we search and we try to find happiness, or we try to find security, or we try to find those things in relationships, but it's only Christ who can bring you that.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was just
Go,
going
go,
to
go.
piggyback from what you guys are saying, especially your point, Jeremy, about we search for things in the wrong places. And it reminds me of the story of the woman at the well, the Samaritan woman at the well. And when you see her story, it's kind of like the prodigal son, if you think about it. She was searching it in, she wasn't searching in, but she was searching it in men and other things that did not benefit her. But when she had that encounter with Jesus, and Jesus told her that if you drink from this water, you would thirst no more. And that emptiness that you feel inside, Jesus fills that up for you. Yeah. So just like her too, it's important that we understand that there's this gap, or there's this vacuum in us when Jesus is not in it. So.
And wasn't she in, I believe, her 5th marriage or something
Yeah,
like that?
crazy. With
I don't even think
with
she was
the
married.
boyfriend on the side.
So that even goes
her
to show
boyfriend on
you.
the side.
That even goes to show you that once you have obtained a specific thing,
It
you're always
doesn't
gonna look for the next thing. You're
Yeah.
always gonna be looking or
Another
searching for
thing,
other things.
I remember reading this thing from Billy Graham's wife, like this statement that she made, and she said that she pities anybody or pities any married couple that looks for the complete satisfaction in the other person. And she said that the reason why that is because Jesus is like every characteristic that you're looking for in your spouse, it's in Jesus. Like someone that's forgiving, someone
That's
that's
amazing.
always there for you, someone that supports you, someone that like is grateful for you, someone that lavishes his love on you. All these things that you're looking for, it's actually in him.
Right.
So she's saying like it's such a pity to see that people are like, why aren't you doing this?
Right.
Like why aren't you like showing this? Why aren't you doing this? It's like, but you can't. We're all human beings. We all fall short. Not like we just fall short. No one can ever meet the standards that we set. But Jesus is supposed to be the person that's enough for us. So that's why the woman at the well, it's like relationship to relationship. It doesn't matter who the person is.
Sure,
Absolutely.
yeah.
People
It really
are
doesn't.
people.
Yeah, people are people.
And like, even though I'm the only one married here, but it's so true, you know. And thank God that I got married in the church, and I was taught all these things, because even me, like even being taught this, like going into my marriage, I mean, I was like, oh, you know, why isn't he gonna come in like tell me he's sorry, or why isn't he gonna come in apologize, or But then I learned, like, he's very human, just like I am. He makes mistakes just like I make mistakes. But the one person who's perfect is Jesus.
Yeah.
Like I cannot compare my husband to Jesus Christ. Like, I mean, yes, I wish he had all those characters, but I don't have them either. So, but knowing that it's Christ that fills that void, it's Christ that you need. Like, if you don't have Christ for yourself, as a single person, going into a marriage will be very difficult because you will put all your hope and all your trust in that person. And when you don't find it in that person, you'll get so disappointed that you end up like wanting to like leave the marriage. But that's not the purpose of marriage, you know. So.
And you look at others who seemingly have everything just in general, but in reality that they really have nothing, because like Ricardo said earlier in the show, it's like, what shall I profit the man if he gains the whole world, loses his soul? So it's almost valueless. And one thing I realized is that you don't really have anything until you have Christ, because everything is just like vain.
Everything you needed is in him too.
And that's why Solomon said vanity of vanity. Like he had everything. Like when
nothing,
it comes, he had everything, like nothing compared to anything. And there's this guy, I think he died recently. He was like the owner of Playboy magazine. I forgot his name.
Jeff.
Hugh.
And I was reading some things, and then all these people were like, no. They're like talking about
He's a businessman too. You know? He's an
Just kidding, Jeremy. Just kidding.
on CNN, they were talking about him, and then a lot of people are like, this guy lived the best life ever. From the time that he was like young to now, he had all these women, he had houses, he was a successful businessman, billions of dollars. He's like, he might have lived the best life on earth, but I look at him like, he's gone now. Like everything like it's
all
all
that
gone.
money, everything is here.
He just left it all behind. I'm like, that's not it. And then who knows where he is like on the other side. So I mean, I'm just saying that's not a great. I mean, you can have everything on this life, but that's what I'm saying. You can have everything, but unless you have Christ, you have nothing. He had everything, but he had nothing because I mean, I don't know if he had Christ, but I'm just saying, unless he had Christ, then.
He had Christ.
If you just tuned in to the First Love TV show, welcome. We've been talking about what we would call a wild goose chase. And we said that the prodigal son was led by the enemy to go on a wild goose chase. And when somebody's led to go on a wild goose chase, they're always grasping for things that they cannot find. They're always seeking for happiness in the wrong places. They're always seeking for love in the wrong places. They are always seeking to become successful. They're seeking for fame. They're seeking for all of these things, which will never bring joy or happiness or peace. But Christ himself is able to fill that void. And when we come back after this break, we're going to go deeper and hear a couple of personal stories. So see you when we come back.
Hi guys, my name is Francisca.
And welcome back to the First Love.
What up, y'all?
Hello everybody, and welcome back to the First Love TV show. Before we went on break, we spoke about a wild goose chase, and we said that the enemy causes us at times to go on a wild goose chase, searching for things that we can never grasp or obtain. And we said that sometimes people search for fame and success and love in the wrong places, and we're going to continue this discussion. So I want to hear from you guys. What are some things that you guys have gone searching after, thinking that it would bring you happiness or joy or fulfillment?
I know when I was in college, I was involved in a relationship with this guy I dated. This guy I dated, and no, I wasn't saved then, unfortunately, but for whatever reason, I was naive, I was young, and I was impressionable, and I thought I was in love. I thought, oh my God, he's everything that I wanted. I mean, he was better than some of the guys on campus. He lived off campus. I mean, he had everything. He had a car. You know, he had a job. I mean, I thought, you know, this is the guy for me. And I put my heart into the relationship, and he disappointed me. He broke up with me one day, and I was devastated.
Wow.
I was so broken. Can you believe I stopped going to class for 2 weeks? That's how devastated I was. I think I lost 10 pounds.
Wow. Wow. Deep.
Yeah. I mean, now I look back and I'm like, wow, Ricardo, you were so foolish. But, you know, I believe that, you know, we're not supposed to, you know, regret anything. We learn and we move on. But in that time, I had a friend of mine, and one day I was just talking to her, and nothing seemed to make me happy at that time. I remember my roommates were like, let's go out, you know, you're a pretty girl, you know, you get another guy, there's plenty of fishes in the the sea, and I was like, no, I don't want to go out, I don't want to go out anymore, nothing seemed to satisfy me, and I was just so broken. And my friend from home called, and we were talking, and she was like, you should come home with me. I think it was spring break weekend, and I went with her to a convention that she was having at her church. And man, it moved me. I mean, I was pouring my eyes out. I was like, wow. And I think that was like the first step in where Jesus like met me. Like, I'm the one you need, you know, like nobody else. You don't need anyone else. And once I realized that that's where I found my joy in church, I joined our campus ministry church. And that's where I wanted to be. My roommates were like puzzled. They were like, where are you going on a Wednesday night? I'm like, oh, there's a service here on campus, you know, let's go. And they would not join me, you know. But that's where I found my joy. And later on, I made a vow to myself that, you know, I'm never going to let anyone make me desire them that much or make me feel like I should put my life on hold for them. You know, I'm always going to try to make sure that I remember that God is the one that's going to make me happy. Like, no one is going to satisfy me like Jesus is. So that was something that I did personally for myself, and I'm so glad I did at that tender age. And it was a transition. I mean, it was a journey that I took, and it's why I'm here now. You know, because of that. So.
Yeah. And even how you shared yours about how you're searching for love, I have an example of that too. Before.
We wear our hearts on our sleeves. It's so sad.
Like, I remember when I was in, I think I was about 13 or so, and I remember at that time my dad had passed away, and I was like, God, really? And at that time I wasn't really a strong Christian, so I was just thinking to myself, like, God, really? And so then I was always on a search, like to find that love, to find happiness, and I was always on that search to find something that can maybe ease the pain, and I thought that, oh, maybe if I love this guy or if I love that guy, maybe they can bring me happiness and I can just drown in my thoughts and all of my sorrows and all of my pains and everything would go away. And then I soon realized that, like, okay, after I became friends with one guy, it was like, okay, there was still some emptiness, there was still a void. And then when I finally came to church and I started hearing the word of God, and I remember one day I was just sleeping, and then I literally heard God tell me, like, stop this foolishness. And I was like, wait, what is that voice? and when he said that, then I woke up. I remember the next day I woke up and I came to church and I was like, I'm giving my life to Christ. Wow. And when I gave my life to Christ, I started to realize there was joy, there was happiness, there was excitement. And I was like, no longer will I be bound, you know, searching for all of these things that at the end of the day you can never find because it's in Christ.
Right. Absolutely.
Anybody else?
You guys have to have
stories.
Okay,
I guess I'll share my story too. Jeremy, do you want to go?
No, you got it. You got it. Ladies first.
Oh, I mean, I don't know why it's us ladies, but
it's always us, man.
I mean, I had a certain, mine wasn't more about, okay, so I understood the guy, right? But then my focus more about the friends, because we had mutual friends. So it was more like the friends started acting kind of shady towards me.
Yeah.
So then I felt kind of like, okay, so every single time I was trying to please them, like, hey guys, like, let's do something, let's blah, 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 blah. And then, I could never, like, it was bad.
Yeah.
So like and then I realized that the persona I was putting on to myself, like especially joining college, I was just like, okay, everyone is doing this. Everyone has their ears pierced. Everyone has. At a point, I had my belly button pierced because I wanted to fit in so bad. Yeah. And then I remember like after that whole episode with the friends and things like that, I was in my room one day and I just started bawling. I was like. And I felt like God was telling me, this is not what I made you for. Yeah. Like, this is. So I took my belly button. I was like, okay, God. And then I just, I took it. I was like, this is not. I was like, bye. I don't want this anymore. And then I actually like, okay, you're all I need. Like, God, you're the only thing that can satisfy me. Nothing else. This friends that I'm chasing after, there's no satisfaction in. They're even making me feel worse about myself. This guy that I was chasing after. Bye. Like, there's nothing there for me. Like, you're the only thing that's going to satisfy me, the only satisfaction I actually need.
Right.
So,
and I think how you were saying, like, people even go on a journey where they're always seeking to please people. And I think people, you go on a journey like, okay, I need to please this person, I need to please that person. If I do this, it will make this person, they'll like me. And there's no way on earth you can please everybody. And I think like whenever you start on that path, like, okay, I have to please this person, I have to please this person, the only person you need to please is Christ himself.
Yeah, mine's like Cisco's, because I mean, I remember when I was in high school too. Like back then, like you always wanted to be cool. Like you always wanted to fit in with a certain group. And I just like wanted to be like the people that were cool in high school. Like I wanted to be like them. Like because I played sports too, but I wasn't really like them in a certain sense. Like I wasn't like that. I was just me. But there was just something about them. I'm like, yeah, I want to be like this guy. Like I want to talk like them. Like so I started speaking like them. I started trying to dress like them. I started trying to fit in things that I wouldn't like to do normally. Like even the way I maybe talk, and usually I would try to talk like them. I don't know, but I was just trying to be like them. So for me, I mean that's where it was, and I realized that it just wasn't me. Like the jokes that they were making, like it just wasn't me. But I had to force myself. I would even like sit at lunch tables purposely, like make sure I sat at that seat because I didn't want to sit with people that were like not as cool. Like nah, I'm gonna sit here. And even though I was uncomfortable, like I would force myself to be comfortable. And like even when it came to music and things like that, like I generally love music, but even like the type of music, like I'm kind of like a musical person, but they were musical too in a sense. Like they were trying to make music and all that stuff. And I'm like, I didn't like the type of music they were making per se. It was like dirty and all that stuff. But I'm like, no, I want to be like them. So let me like help them. Let me like show them what to do with this. But I didn't even like it that much. I wanted to make my own type of music. But so I found myself like losing that sense of purpose, losing who I was, and it made me even lose some of my church friends in a certain sense. Like some of my brothers that I grew up with, I wasn't as close to because I couldn't relate with them anymore because they were on that side and I was over here trying to be like them. So even that created a split. Now when like I graduated high school, you know, like all those friends that I used to be with, like suddenly they just all go. So I kind of found that was like one of my most like alone times because I didn't have any high school friends that were really, really true friends. And I also didn't have a lot of close church friends at the same time. So it was just kind of just me. So I was like, so I just felt like alone a lot. I felt like I didn't have anyone else to talk to, especially as a pastor's kid, because you can't easily always share some things because, I mean, your pastor's your dad at the same time, so it's kind of just complicated. So yeah, for me, that's when I think that I felt like God like really started speaking to me because it made me realize that, okay, I have nowhere else to turn to. Like, I don't really have a sense of identity. I don't know what I'm doing. What do I do now? And I realized that God was like starting to speak to me saying that like, you did not choose me, I chose you. Like I've called you, like you're gifted. You can do things, I can change your whole life. And then I started listening to messages more, started hearing the voice of our pastor more, things like that. And then those things started to like really affect me. And I realized that my identity truly is in Christ. And he's made me a way better person. Even though I might not be cool in like some circles, I feel more, I have more value. There's nothing else I'd rather be doing. I feel like I'm me. You get what I'm trying to say? I feel like this is who I am. I'm not faking. I'm not trying to be anything different. If you don't like that, then that's cool. But if you do like that, then that's great. Like then we can relate. And that's been my mindset ever since God came into my life. So it's a blessing. And I think that sense of belonging, I don't need to belong. I find myself belonging where God wants me to be.
And you attract people when you are, when you're set apart, actually. When you're not chasing after those things, when you're not chasing those friends. I find that that's when like people like see that you stand out even more. They're like, wow, you're different. And then they see that, you're being set apart. Like, and I believe God sometimes has to separate us. Like yours maybe was graduating, not being in school anymore around those people. Mine was about taking me away from that certain person, and like, just he withdraws us, and then at those points, like sometimes we feel like, God, like, what is it? Like, why nobody likes me? Or like, what's wrong with me? I remember that was one of the things I thought, like, what's wrong with me? Like, I did everything, what did I not do? But then I remember hearing a message, or like I was sitting at church and then like, it was like, he accepts you just as you are. He wants you just the way you are. Like he loves you regardless, like it's not about what you haven't done, what you have done, how perfect you think you are. He just loves you. And I love that, and I think that was one of the reasons why it drew me so much more, to him.
There's this one thing that you said that reminded me of that was like, there's this thing I heard from Pastor, and he was saying that God calls himself the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac, but he doesn't call, he calls the God of Jacob, not Israel. Because Israel, you know how Jacob's name got switched to
Yeah,
Israel because
yeah.
Jacob means swindler, and he's saying that he still calls himself the God of Jacob because he doesn't matter how you are.
Yeah.
He still take like the identity of him being a swindler as him being a thief, but he's still the God of the liar. He's still the God of the thief.
Right.
He's still the God of whoever you are, and like that's what I feel like God's still the God of us, and you realize that He's never really forsaken us. Like that verse is so true. Like it doesn't matter through all the things,
things
on
that
the
we
scene,
do,
all these
things
things, like we're still here, and He's still there, and He's still with us. So I think that's just a great point.
Yeah, and I think what you guys have been sharing is very powerful because at times people also, they get drawn into like getting, some people go on a goose chase that they get involved in like drugs and the lust of the flesh and all of these different things that like pull them down and lead to their destruction, which I think are also things that really affect people.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Because, I mean, even just speaking on that, for the lust of the flesh, I mean, the flesh is also a wild goose chase because you can never, I mean, you can go on wild, you can go, because you can never satisfy that. I mean, you can never grab hold of that. When you do something in the flesh, you're going to want to do it again. Like, you can't stop that. So I think that's also important for anybody that's struggling with that. Like, don't seek to please your flesh. Like, don't seek to make that satisfied because other than that, you never will be.
Right, like if you're fornicating, you can't say, I know it's sometimes easy to say, like, oh, it was just this one time. I'm not going to do it again, but then you find yourself doing it again. You know, and then you kind of get into that process where then it becomes normal to you, and you justify your rationale for reasoning for right. You know.
All too soon, we're out of time, and we hope that you enjoyed this episode, but we've been talking about a wild goose chase. And we've been talking about how the enemy likes to lead us down that path, looking for satisfaction in friends, in drugs, in people, in the wrong places. And we said that we must always put our hope in Christ. We must always seek to be filled with the love of Christ. If you do not know Christ, it's important that you go on a journey to find Christ, because all of these other things will not satisfy you. Even if you get love, if you get fame, if you get money, none of these things will satisfy you. You will always have a void. But the love of Christ, the love that God has for you, is a love that can carry you far and wide. And with that said, we're going to see you all next week when we return. Thank you for watching. Bye.
Thank you for watching the First Love TV show. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back next week Wednesday at 7 p.m. CST. If you're a French speaker, we invite you to attend our first service, which begins at 9 a.m. Our second service starts promptly at 11 a.m., which is in English.
If we have found grace.
We are located at 7601 West Sam Houston Parkway South, Houston, Texas, 77036. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to receive alerts for our services and TV shows. Have a blessed and fruitful week.